We're here today on each of these cases for a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom and we are live streaming. I'm recording to the Zoom cloud. I don't have a reporter today. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Michelle Slagle is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right, Ms. Slagle, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Nothing new since the court report has been filed. Natalie's adjusting to being at the Angelic House of Hope, the residential treatment center she's in, and the other two kiddos, they're doing well and adjusting to Natalie not being there.
Right. But correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding from review of the report is, the goal is to kind of get things leveled out and then to hopefully return her back to placement.
Yes, correct. That is the goal. I've not talked to them this week, but I was going to visit with them to go ahead and start getting family therapy set up with Natalie so we can start working towards that goal. Because she's been there about a month now. So I think might be an appropriate time for family therapy to start up.
Okay, good. Everybody's willing?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So much the better then. All right.
We did a kinship staffing with placement and with the kinship worker down there. And everybody's all in agreement with Natalie going back when she gets regulated.
What does this look like as far as adoption with the other children? Are we putting the brakes on so that hopefully they can all be adopted together? Or are we going to push forward with the other kids? What?
I believe we have an appeal filed, if I'm correct, with mom.
Correct.
Yeah, I guess that's right. It's still out there. So as soon as that's, I guess then we'll address that issue.
Yes.
And
when we're in the clear of that.
Judge, real quick on, we noticed something the other day on Natalie's case on the final order, mom's name, the two letters were inverted. So we're going to file a note pro tunc just to correct mom's name on that final order.
Okay.
The Y and the R in Crystal was reversed and we didn't catch it. So we'll get a note pro tunc filed on that.
Okay. All right. Anything else then, Ms. Slagle?
No, ma'am. That's it.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala.
I was able to Zoom with the kids, and they really seem to be doing well. Natalie was in good spirits. Diamond was as well. It is absolutely my understanding that that's the goal, is to get her back in the home. And I think everybody's working well towards that. My one question was just, when can we start family therapy? And so hopefully that can be soon. But both the older girls seemed really pretty good for the circumstances. And so I think we're headed in the right direction.
All right, then. Well, if, we don't have another review hearing set until November 7th, but should the appeal resolve and we're moving forward, has anybody had that discussion? What are we going to do if and when? Are we going to push forward on the other kids, or?
I didn't talk about that yet, or I haven't spoken to them yet, but I'll be happy to.
Okay. So I guess the point of that is, if there's an issue and we need to get together before November, then you all let me know. All right, then I'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I'll continue placement of all the kids. And then next scheduled review hearing is November 7th, 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. So y'all let me know.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Today scheduled for our status hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We'll be live streaming here in just a minute. And I'm recording to the Zoom cloud today. I do not have a court reporter. So if you need a copy, let me know and we'll make it available. All right, we're going to take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Shell Silva is my primacy specialist. We're present ready.
Joel Jackson, on behalf of the mother, Bethany Barbary, present and ready, Your Honor.
Jerry Morales on behalf of respondent father Dusty Wells. I am present, or I'm ready, Your Honor. I don't believe is present. I've never had an opportunity to speak with him.
And
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
Okay,
Judge, if I may, real quick for Mr. Morales. Dusty Wells was arrested in Randall County on the 13th, and he is actually still in jail. I'm looking at the jail roster right now, and it shows he hasn't been released. So he should be in Randall County.
Thank you.
while we're on that quick topic, I'm showing that he's alleged of all of the children, that there's not been an adjudication done on any of them. Anybody have anything different than that?
I believe that is correct, Your Honor.
Your Honor, my client.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson.
I don't believe that he's been officially adjudicated, and to my knowledge, there's not any orders that were currently in effect.
Okay, then, I want to go ahead and Mr. Morales, I know you haven't had that opportunity to have that conversation, but you know, you can have that conversation with him about genetic testing or whether he wants to acknowledge or what we want to do here. But I'm going to go ahead and order genetic testing so that is in the works in the event that he does want that. If for some reason, Mr. Morales, says he'll acknowledge as to all of the children, you can let us know, and then we can stop those wheels turning.
Sure.
But
Perfect.
okay, so let's go ahead and do that while we know where he is. Okay. All right then, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Nothing new. I have not been able to get a hold of either parent. Either parent has not worked any services. I couldn't find Bethany, and just recently she reached out to her mom, Connie, and Connie talked her into going to see her lawyer.
So have we've not been able to go over service plans with either parent?
No. I tried to see Dusty yesterday at Randall County. They didn't have any available appointments, so I made an appointment to see him on Friday.
All right, but service plans have been created and filed?
Yes.
Have you sent that to Mr. Jackson and Mr. Morales? They would have gotten the e-filing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And Judge, those were filed on April 23rd.
All right, and children have been placed with under an approved home study, is that correct?
Yes, the home study was approved. We are planning to move the children on May 7th. Or no, not May 7th, May 27th.
Okay, so they've not been moved yet, but will be.
Yes.
Right, and the individual that did the home study, it's Miss Carter.
Yes.
Is she related?
She is Dad's cousin.
Okay. And does she live here?
She lives in El Paso, Texas.
Okay. All right, so I assume we're just letting the kids get finished with school before we make that move.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Anything else then from St. Francis?
No.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, Judge, Ms. Barbary came into my office fairly early this morning. We've had a chance to have a good discussion. I was trying to get some things out of the way for the court. To date, she hadn't been served, and I got her permission this morning. I provided her with a copy of the petition and the affidavit of removal. and she's given me authority to accept service on her behalf today.
Okay, great, thank you.
And yes, ma'am. And then on another note, I did receive the family plan. I did review that with my client, and she has signed off on the family plan of service. And I will scan that, and I will get that over to Mr. Trout this morning after we get done with this hearing.
Great, appreciate it. Okay. Mr. Jackson, have you actually filed an answer yet, or are you going to file?
Well, I thought I had, but I will file an answer. No, ma'am, apparently
Oh,
I
I'm
have
looking.
not.
I don't know. You may have. I'm just looking.
I don't see it in my file, Judge.
Okay. All right. Well, now that you've got her authority to accept service, then you go ahead and just file the answer, and that'd be great.
Yes, ma'am. And then I guess at the end of this hearing, I'm probably going to need to speak with Ms. Silva. She's going to need some information from us. My client, it was her intent. She has been looking into applying for and going into Senecor next week. And she may need Mrs. Silva's help in doing that to the extent that they're able to assist her in doing that. And she's prepared to get her services started and get working on that. And that's another reason. She still doesn't have a phone. My client doesn't. And so that's the problem. That's what we need to talk to Ms. Silva about.
Okay. So when we conclude, then I can put you all in a breakout room where you can exchange some of that information that we don't want to necessarily exchange over YouTube.
And to the extent that it's possible, or I don't know what the ad litem's position is on this, but I was going to see if there was any way that we could set up some virtual visitation with the kids.
Okay. Ms. Silva, any issues with getting that established? I mean, I know the kids are going to be moved here pretty quick, but if we can get that established.
Yeah, I could get that going.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, that's probably something else you all can talk about too.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What
Thank
that's
you.
going to, yeah, what that's going to look like. Okay, Mr. Morales.
I have nothing to add, Your Honor. I'll contact my client immediately after this hearing and go over the service plan with him.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I'm thrilled that we've got family members stepping up. If I remember correctly, at the last hearing, there were 2 home studies that were ordered to run concurrently because the children had all, at that time, before this other relative appeared, had all expressed an interest to being placed with grandmother. So it's my understanding that both of those were supposed to be done and that we were going to reevaluate after this hearing. All of the kids wanted to stay where they were to finish out the school year. I anticipate that the placement in El Paso will be great. I'm not anticipating any problems with that. But I do want to speak with the kids one more time about that. Because originally they had their heads wrapped around a different scenario. So I don't anticipate that will be a problem, but I would ask that they not be moved until I'm allowed to talk with them about that specifically. And then as to visitation, some of the kids had specific thoughts about whether they wanted contact with parents at this time. Now, I will say if mom is cooperating and showing up, and that may change their position as to whether they want contact. So I just want to leave that decision in the children's hands in terms of whether they choose to participate in visitation with mom at this point.
What is the status on the other home study, or what happened with it?
So the home study is on great grandma.
Right.
She talked with me. She said she was too, older in her age already and to handle 4 boys. So she wanted to speak with Brittany. I asked permission from Brittany if I could give grandma her phone number. They spoke. Grandma felt better about it and didn't want to proceed with the home study.
That's new information to me. So
yeah.
Right. All right. So Ms. Zavala, that's obviously, I don't know what the kids know about that too, but I mean, I think it's fair for them to know that she's just at an age where she's just not really sure she can handle that responsibility.
And that makes sense. Yeah.
And the boy, I spoke to the boys about it. We just talked just recently. They understood. They also had a virtual visit with grandma on Tuesday, and she felt better about her decision.
Okay. Okay. So I think just still, Ms. Zavala, I mean, I think it's good to have the discussion with them about going to El Paso, but I mean, obviously we'd prefer them to be with family. And so, and then
Absolutely.
you can certainly talk to them about contact with their mother, you know, how that is. One may refuse, the others may all agree, you know, we just have to work around those issues. And then, you know, Miss Wells, or excuse me, Miss Barbary, if just because maybe one or more of the kids decline to visit right now doesn't mean that that doesn't change. You know, as you get going on your services, you know, they're gonna find out that, you know, you're progressing and things are going well and all that. And, you know, so just because they decline initially doesn't mean that they will stay in that frame of mind. So the kids have gone through a lot with this, you know, whole situation. And so we have to be kind of patient with them too. So anyway, Ms. Zavala, you can work your magic and talk to them and let Ms. Silva know.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything else?
Nothing further, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Don't believe so.
All right, then, and I will say to Miss Barbary that especially with kids this at the ages of your kids, you know, when you start working in your services, doing some of your counseling, then, you know, at some point, in all likelihood, we're going to be doing some family therapy with you and the kids. I mean, just with kids this age, that's a very common thing that we need to do. All right, then I'll continue.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Question for Ms. Silva. Ms. Silva, have we gotten mom to do any drug screening for us? I know she's wanting to go into Senate court next week, but have we got any drug screens for baselines on her yet?
No, none.
Okay. Judge, I'd ask for drug screens today. If we can get those done before she goes into Senate court, just to see when she goes in, when she comes out.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, you know, you can talk with your client about that, but I am going to order her to go drug screen, give a hair and a UA today. So we've got a baseline that we can work against. And Miss Silva will make sure that you know where to go, Miss Barbary. So something else y'all can talk about, since I'm going to put you in a breakout room.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll talk to Ms. Silva about getting that form over as soon as possible, because Ms. Barbary's mother is here today. She has transportation this morning, so we could get her over there this morning.
Okay, great. All right. Well, let me put you all in a breakout room here. But anyway, so I'll order a go drug test before 4 o'clock today. Continue the department as permanent managing conservator and continue placement. And I'll see you all back for the initial permanency hearing on September 17th of 2024. And that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket.
And we'll get an order over for the genetic testing going.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, I've put you all to room 2. We are here today set for our adversary hearing. In this case, we are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and I am recording to the Zoom cloud today. I don't have a court reporter. So if you need a copy, let me know and we'll make it available. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Lauren and Lucero, on behalf of the mothers, Sandra and Tiveros, Your Honor, we're both present and ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Ariana.
And does Shay Cairns happen to be in the waiting room?
Yes.
Okay, if you could bring her in, she's gonna be the St. Francis worker.
Okay. Yep. She's out there.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. As to, I believe we have an announcement as to mom on an agreement from Ms. Lucero's email I got late yesterday. I think she would be asking for a couple of situations as far as ability to work some services online, virtual, due to her work and travel. But I believe as far as the department having temporary managing conservatorship and mom to work services, we have an agreement, is my understanding.
Okay. Let me interrupt. Ms. Zuniga has just logged in too. Do we need her in?
She supervisor on another case, Your Honor,
Okay.
on other adversaries to that.
All right, so she's agreed to temporary managing conservatorship to the department. Is the department waiving child support or any medical support at this time?
Yes, ma'am, we'd like this.
Then Ms. Lucero, I guess if you want to just kind of let me know what specific issues you had.
Well, normally in these types of situations, Your Honor, I know that the services aren't as extensive for the parents. However, I just want the department to take into consideration when they're looking at a service plan. Ms. Ontiveros has a job at JBS. They're really strict about letting people off, even to go do take any time away from work. She was able to do it today. However, she works from 6 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. 5 days a week. So I would just ask them to take into consideration her work schedule and, to try to find or locate, virtual services that she can complete.
Okay, and Ms. Cairns is going to be our permanency specialist on this case. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Shay, you're muted.
Yes, I am.
Okay, Ms. Cairns, are there some things that we think we can set up to try to help her with that? I know they're very, very rigid about their time
Yes.
off from work out there.
Yes, I understand. We'll figure out, if there's something that we need to work extra with, we will. But I know there's a lot of virtual she can do.
And we've done this in a few cases, but an awful lot of this could be done through a counselor.
Mhm.
Kind of one-stop shopping.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that maybe feasible here?
I think so.
Okay. So Ms. Ontiveros, that would give you sort of, for the most part, kind of one provider that you would be dealing with. I can't tell you that it's going to be the only provider, but for most things, I think we could probably wrap into and through a counselor. It's probably going to mean, more than the normal 6 sessions, of counseling to be able to cover all the bases, but at least it's just, that one individual for the most part. Drug screening, if we ask you to go drug test, obviously you got to go to that provider to do that. That's something a counselor can't do, but we can try to streamline it the best that we can. All right, then Mr. Trout, with respect to the father, you need to put on a little bit of testimony.
Yes, ma'am, and with that, since mom is here, I can ask mom some of these questions.
Okay.
Good. And who is Ariana's father?
Ernesto Reyes.
Okay, and where is Mr. Reyes?
He's deported. He's in Mexico.
Okay. Do you have any kind of contact information for him?
He calls her through the phone and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the one that talks to him. He keeps in touch with her. He'll be
Okay.
calling her. Mhm.
Do you have that his number, or does only Ariana have it?
I have it.
Okay. Have you given it to Mr. Anderson?
Yes, sir. They have it.
Okay. Do you said he was deported. How long ago was that?
About 10 years ago.
Okay. And he's not been back in the state since?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions for Ms. Ontiveros?
No questions.
Ms. Ontiveros, is he on any social media too, like Facebook or anything like that?
No, that I know. No, he works a lot too. He's always working.
Okay, all right. Okay, appreciate your cooperation. All right, Mr. Trout, any other witnesses to call today?
Yes, ma'am. I called David Anderson real quick. And how are you familiar with that case?
I'm the investigator assigned to the case.
And you've been here for the rest of the testimony today, correct?
Correct.
And your understanding, mom is agreeing to temporary managing conservatorship.
Correct.
And that dad's name is Ernesto Reyes, correct?
Yes.
Have you been able to contact him?
Yes, I contacted him previously after the She provided me a phone number to.
Okay. And were you able to advise him on what was going on?
Yes, so I used one of my coworkers as a translator so that it was in his natural language, explained to him what was going on, and that we had seen his child, the circumstances around what was going on, and that we had removed his child.
And what was did Dad state anything or reactions to that?
He seemed very confused. He didn't really seem up to current events with her behavior.
Were you able to try to send a link to him? Would he be able to get on to hearings with us?
I provided him all of the removal paperwork as well as the notification of his rights as a parent. He refused to sign or complete any paperwork that was sent to him.
Okay. Did you mention that our hearings are held on Zoom and that he would be able to attend that way if he wanted to?
I was not able to reach him a second time.
And do you believe it's in the best interest of the child for the child to stay in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department?
Yes, I do.
And for Mom to work as services as she's agreed?
I do.
And if Dad is willing to participate we try to find some way for him to work some sort of services?
Yes.
And you believe that's in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Lucero?
Just a couple of questions. Mr. Anderson, where is Ariana currently placed?
Northwest Pavilion.
And is there, right now, is there a plan going forward as far as future placement, or is that something that'll be taken care of by St. Francis?
My understanding is that she was going to be discharged today or tomorrow, and that it would be taken care of by St. Francis.
Are you aware of those plans or no?
No.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions.
All right, Mr. Trout?
Judges, I would call shake hands as to what placement's looking like for the child. What is the plan at this time for Ariana when she's discharged?
We're working on a placement right now. She might stay another night at the pavilion, but we should have another placement for her by tomorrow or Monday, they said. So.
Do we know, is that going to be in this area or is it going to be out of area right now?
I'm trying to get this area so she could have visits with her mom, and at least virtual, but we aren't sure yet with everything going on with her.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your
Honor. Okay, Ms. Lucero, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Cairns, what type of placement? I know y'all are trying to place her close, but are y'all looking at an RTC, or what type of placement are y'all looking at?
It'll most likely be an RTC. We were looking at the QRTP that's in Lubbock, just to try and keep her in the area, but she's pending an interview, I believe, with them.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, Ms. Lucero, anything else today?
Nothing, Your Honor. I assume that St. Francis will, stay in contact with Ms. Ontropolis and let her know when the child is released from the pavilion and where she'll be going forward. But I don't have anything else, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala, anything to present today?
Nothing to present other than a recommendation.
All right, and your recommendation today?
That it would be in the best interest for Ariana to remain in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department. I was able to meet with her in person at the hospital, and we talked about some of her potential options. She does say that she'd like to go home to mom as soon as possible, but I believe she understands that that's not going to happen right now. And Ms. Carnes has kept me in the loop as to placement options. Unfortunately, some of our options are a little bit limited because of Ariana's needs. But I know that St. Francis is working as hard as they can to get her a good fit.
All right, everybody rest and close.
Rest in close.
Motion close.
All right, at this time, then I do find the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of the child, Ariana Reyes. I would find that there would be a continuing danger to return the child home at this time, and we'll expect parents to work services. I'll approve the agreement with respect to Ms. Ontropolis that there be no child support or medical support ordered at this time. Mr. Reyes is an alleged father. So obviously we can't deal with that issue at this time. Ms. Ontiveros, there's just a couple quick questions. I mean, did you and Mr. Reyes, did you all ever go to court? You ever get any child support orders, anything like that?
No, ma'am. No.
Okay. All right. And do you believe that he's on the birth certificate or not?
He's on the birth certificate. He's
Okay.
there. And
All right. So I think we need to take a look at that, because if he's on there, we may already have that issue handled. So if we can look into that, that'd be good. So he was still here when she was born, correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay, then our status hearing will be on July 2nd, 2024. That'll be on a 9:00 docket. So I'll see everybody back for that. And we'll talk more about your services and how things are going. Okay, thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Ms.
Thank
Daniels.
you.
So we're waiting to
Ms.
get your
Daniels,
attorney
okay.
logged in. All right. So, all right, Mr. Gentry's now connected to audio. And how did we get Mr. Gentry involved?
His name came to us through some of the other parties that he is possibly the dad to Layla. And so like I said, we all found this out in the staffing yesterday that this had come up. I think he's had contact with her. I think he's, my understanding is admitted to possibly being the dad.
Okay, Mr. Gentry, can you unmute for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gentry, do you think you are possibly the father to one of the children?
To Layla, yes, ma'am.
All right. And have you and Miss Carruthers ever gone to court or done anything about that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are you 100% sure that you're the father of this child, or you think you're going to want genetic testing to be sure?
I really believe that I'm the father. Like, I've been in her life. I take her to school. She knows who I am. So I have been around her, have had her with me with her brothers and sisters.
Well, you know, you don't have an attorney. I mean, what we could do is get you the paperwork, get you pled into the case, do the same thing, get you paperwork to see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. And we could reset these cases to give you time to do that and for you to talk to an attorney about your options here. You know, once I adjudicate you the father of that child, I mean, it's done, it's forever. So if you have any doubt at all about it, then, you know, you probably, you know, should consider genetic testing just to be sure about that. But that's typically a conversation you're going to have with your attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
And Judge, real quick on this also, believe there's someone else on the birth certificate.
Yes.
The vital statistics that we have has Terry Jones as the father of Layla. And I believe that's who is also on the birth certificate. So that's kind of why we brought Mr. Gentry in, because we have that issue also.
Well, I think because we got a lot of sort of moving parts here, I honestly think we'd be better off to reset this, get Mr. Gentry pled in and have him fill out his paperwork to see if he qualifies and for an attorney and get him a lawyer, and we can go from there. Okay, Ms. Katie has suggested maybe that we could extend it to May 23rd, either at 9 o'clock, or if we want to go out 14 or a little longer, we can go May 28th at 9 o'clock, May 30th at 9. I don't have Mr. Hill here, so I don't know what his schedule is.
And Your Honor, I may need to have somebody cover the 528 docket for me.
I'd like to look at the 30th if feasible, but it's kind of what I wanted. Mr. Hill, can you do the 30th, Ms. Zavala?
I can, yes.
All right, let's just get him in and let's see if that'll work. Good morning, Mr. Hill.
Good morning, Judge. I apologize. I did not know the hearings had been moved. I had it on my calendar for 11:15, I think.
Sorry, we had to swap some stuff around last minute, but we really need to reset these cases. We've got another alleged father that's come into the picture. And so would you be good May 30th on a 9 o'clock docket?
Let me pull up my calendar.
Okay.
I'm set on the 29th for a juvenile jury trial, but my understanding is I'm 99% sure there's no court reporter and we're trying to move that. So I would say tentatively yes, and I will check and give you a firm final answer. Actually, I'm on the 4th floor of the county court. I can walk over to Avis's office right now and confirm that trial is not going to take place on the 29th and 30th if you want me to.
Sure. I mean, if you have time, I know you're there for something else.
Well, I'm 50 feet from her office. Let me go.
Okay.
So we have court reporter problems, but it's still on. Avis is still trying to find a court reporter. So no, the 30th isn't going to work.
Okay. So let's go back to looking at the 23rd.
I can do that anytime.
Ms. Zavala, are you good that day?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's shoot for the 23rd at 9. And so Mr. Jones, Mr. Gentry, we'll reset till May 23rd on a 9 o'clock docket. You'll get a new Zoom link. Mr. Gentry, or I guess Ms. Garcia, somebody needs to get him that attorney paperwork like today. So, and then Mr. Gentry, you really need to get that filled out, be thorough, fill out all the sections and get it back to Ms. Garcia so she can get it to me. And then we can, if you qualify, we can appoint you an attorney and give you time to start talking to your lawyer.
Yes, ma'am. I thank you.
Okay.
And Judge, is Mr. Jones logged in? I'm sorry, I'm just seeing one person at a time.
Your client is logged in. He is present today.
Would you ask him to call me, please? I've reached out to him and was not able to get him.
Okay. Mr. Jones, Mr. Hills, that's been speaking, is your attorney, and you really need to call him.
Yes, ma'am. Could you put his number in the chat so I can save it?
I will.
Okay, he's going to do that right now for you.
All right, thank you.
Just ma'am, ask Angelica, do you have Mr. Gentry's information so that we can get him pled in?
Yes, I do.
Okay, if you could send that over to myself and Kim Minor.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Judge, you get that phone number sent to Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jones, did you get that? Hey, you're muted.
I see it, but I'm having a hard time trying to copy it. So I'm going to run into my job real quick and get a pen so I can write it down.
Okay, well, we're wrapped up for today. So I'll just see everybody back then on the 23rd on a 9 o'clock docket.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Okay.
you, Judge.
Thank y'all very much. All right.
Thank you.
Is everybody ready?
Judge, Mr. Michelson and I tried to talk with Miss Lewis in a breakout room, but he is traveling from Ochiltree, so his reception was terrible and we could not hear him. So I didn't know if it would be possible to delay the hearing just to give him time to talk with the client and be present for this, because I don't think his reception is going to make this hearing go very smoothly.
How long was he going to be before? Was he headed back to Canadian or?
I think he's leaving Ochiltree, so yes.
Do we have any time reference? I mean,
Your Honor, I'm in a clear spot for now. How long that lasts, I'm not sure, but I will be available this afternoon if that's possible. I really hate to disrupt the other people's schedule, but hopefully I'm through the worst part of the barren wasteland of no cell service. So I did have an opportunity to talk with Lakeisha about some of the facts of her case, and I am concerned that potentially one witness that she has isn't available today.
I want to come.
so you're saying a witness that you may be calling is not available today, Mr. Michelson?
Correct.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, who is it that you're talking about calling?
I believe it's Lakeisha's power of attorney.
Oh, she's present.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's present. I gave her the Zoom link yesterday.
Great. That's right. We did talk about that. Okay. Well, never mind then. Then there's no reason to delay that.
Okay, well, since you've got service right now, I'd like to just go ahead and press forward if we can. We'll
Sure.
watch closely. If you fall out, we'll stop everything and till you can get logged back in.
Okay.
Because I just don't know, like Ms. Zavala, I have no idea what she's got on her schedule this afternoon. She may have meetings with kids scheduled and all that. So
Sure.
Okay, then, all right, Mr. Trout, we ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then I'm going to call cause here for our adversary hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and I'm recording to the Zoom cloud as I do not have a court reporter today. So if anyone needs a copy, let me know. We'll make it available. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Natalie Archer, I'm guardian ad litem for Lakeisha Lewis, and we are both present and ready.
Jay Michelson, attorney ad litem for Lakeisha Lewis. We're present and ready.
Stacey Zabala for Michaela.
Mr. Trout, how many witnesses do you have today?
4, Your Honor. Maybe 5.
All right. Okay, who's up first?
Maria Sedillo. And how did the department become involved in this case?
The department came involved as we received an intake stating that there was a child at a laundromat begging for food and money.
Okay. And were you able to go out to that scene?
Yes, I was.
And you were able to meet with the child?
Yes, I was.
And that was at the laundromat? She was still
Correct.
there?
Yes.
Did you have any conversations with the child?
Not there at the laundromat. I spoke with law enforcement. We decided to go ahead and do our interview at the department due to their other surrounding people and confidentiality concerns.
Okay, so child was transported to the department's office?
Yes.
And you were able to speak with her there?
Yes.
During your interview with her, did she tell you who her mother was?
Yes, she did.
And who is that?
Lakeisha Lewis.
Did she tell you who her father was?
She did.
And what was his name?
Guadalupe Garcia.
Okay. At the time, did the child know where her mother or father were?
No.
Did she tell you when the last time she'd seen her mother?
Yes, she said she last saw her mother 2 hours prior.
What was the main concern with the child being at the laundromat?
That she was begging for food and money and unable to locate her mother. She didn't know where her mother was, as well as her not having her basic needs met.
Did she state why she was at the laundromat begging for food?
She said that they didn't have any cereal at home, so she was begging for milk so she can eat milk with her cereal.
Okay. Did she tell you where she lived?
She said that she was living with her uncle Tremaine.
Okay. And is that somebody that's kin to her? Is there?
Not biologically, no.
Okay. Were you able to find out who that was?
Yes.
Okay. And is it just a friend? Is it somebody mom was seeing? Did you know?
It was reported to us that it is just a friend.
Okay. Did Michaela tell you where Tremaine lived?
Yes.
Okay. And another investigator was able to go out and see him. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did she state that's where she was living?
Yes.
Okay. Was it during the investigation was it discovered later that they weren't living there?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, do you have an address for mother?
I do not.
Were you ever able to meet with the mother face to face?
No.
Have you ever, throughout this whole process, have you ever been able to meet with Ms. Lewis face to face?
No.
Were you able to get her on the phone?
Yes.
And what was your conversation about when you spoke to her on the phone?
Our conversation was to get a little bit more information. However, at the time, I couldn't understand what Miss Lewis was saying.
And what do you mean by that?
Her words were very mixed, as in like word salad, and I wasn't able to obtain what exactly she was saying or what she was trying to say. I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you ask her where she lived? Did you ask mother?
I did ask her where she was living.
Okay. What did she state?
She said she was staying with friends.
Okay. Did you know whether she meant moving around from friend to friends or had one particular friend she was staying with? Did you know?
No.
Okay. Did you ask her if she knew where her daughter was?
Yes.
And did she know where her daughter was? She
Wasn't able to confirm where her daughter was.
Okay.
Due to the word salad.
Gotcha. Was Michaela in school?
She is registered in school. However, she hadn't been attending.
Okay. Do you know how long it had been since she'd been in school?
It was confirmed that she had only been in school 4 days as of May 8th.
And when you say 4 days, are you meaning 4 days in a month or 4 days since January? What do you mean by that?
4 days in a month.
Okay. So for the month of, I guess that'd be the month of April.
Yes.
Did you, when you spoke to Michaela, did you ask her why she wasn't in school?
Yes.
And what did she say?
She said that she hadn't been in school because her mother doesn't have a vehicle and she had to try to rely on other people for a ride to school.
Okay. Were you ever able to get any information as far as dad, where he was?
Michaela did say that her dad is somewhere in Amarillo. She didn't know his address, but she did say that she didn't like him.
Did she have any phone contact with him, or does she know how to contact him?
No.
When you spoke to mom, did mom know how to contact him?
I didn't get that far with mom.
Okay. And when you say you didn't get that far with her, I know you said that the conversation wasn't making sense, but what do you mean by you didn't get that far with her?
We ended the conversation because the information that I was trying to get from her wasn't getting answered and she wasn't making sense with what she was trying to say.
Okay. And so, well, I'll hold off. I'll retract that. I'll pass the witness right now, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Michelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your testimonies indicated that mother and daughter were not living there at the apartment, but they were staying there, correct?
Michaela stated that she was living there. However, the coworker of mine, Joseph, he had went to that home residence who stated otherwise.
Okay. She wasn't staying there, or she wasn't living there?
He was not living there.
Okay.
She wasn't living there or staying there.
Okay. And what did the owner of the apartment say?
The owner of the apartment had told my coworker that he had met them through his mother and that they have never lived there or they have never stayed there.
Okay. And did you present that evidence to Michaela? Or
Yes.
Lakeisha, I mean? Okay.
Not
And what-
Lakeisha, Michaela.
Okay. And what did Michaela say about that?
She said that she had been staying there.
Okay. And when you obtained information to the contrary, what did she say then?
She just still said that she was staying there.
Okay. And so were you able to resolve that?
Can you reframe that question?
Were you able to resolve that one way or the other? She absolutely wasn't staying there or she was staying there?
According to the owner of the apartment, that he wasn't staying there, and also the apartment complex managing staff said that they were not allowed to be staying there, that they had been trespassed from the property.
Okay, because they're a HUD apartment?
I'm sorry?
Because they're a HUD apartment?
Yes.
Okay.
As well
And,
as Michaela, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I was going to switch questions. You indicated that she had only briefly been in school, or did she just start school in April at that school, or had she been at that school since the beginning of the school year?
No, she had just recently started at that school.
Okay. And do you know what her attendance previously was at the other school?
No.
Okay. Does she have any support workers at the school that she attends?
Did she have a support worker?
At the school, like a social worker that works with her or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Did you speak to the school at all?
No.
Okay. And you indicated that Lakeisha spoke in word salad. Did Lakeisha tell you she has a disability?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Did she tell you that she had applied for Social Security disability?
No.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Archer?
You mentioned the child was found at the laundromat. Did she say she went to the laundromat with mom?
No.
Did Michaela tell you she misses her mother now?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
Cedillo, Michaela believes that her mom may now have a different place to live. Do you have any information about that?
I do not.
Have you had any contact with Miss Lewis to determine what her current residence is?
Not recently, no.
And has Michaela expressed to you that she wants to go back to live with her mom?
Yes.
At this point, what would your concerns be about her going back to her mom?
The department's concern would be her ability to stay stable, have a stable placement, be able to provide food, be able to provide for her basic needs.
Other than one phone conversation that you've had with mother, have you had any other contact with her?
No, I've had contact with her power of attorney.
I pass witness.
All right, Mr. Trout?
I have no questions for Ms. Maria at this time. I may call her later again, but right now I don't have any questions.
All right. Anybody else have any further questions right now for Ms. Cedillo?
Just for clarity, I'd like to ask her who the power of attorney is that she interviewed.
Miss Latasha Phillips.
Latasha Phillips, thank you.
Okay. Anybody have anything else for Ms. Cedillo right now?
No, ma'am.
All right. Okay, then Ms. Cedillo, I'm going to ask you to remain with us for the time being. All right, Mr. Trout, you can call your next witness.
Called Joseph Valdez, Your Honor. And how are you familiar with that case?
I helped out Maria, made contact with the mother, made contact with the alleged uncle, and that is my involvement with this case.
Okay. We'll start with, I believe she referred to him as Uncle Jermaine.
Yes, sir.
And you were able to meet face to face with him?
Yes, sir.
And was that at the apartment that Michaela said she was living?
Correct. Tremaine's apartment.
Okay. And we heard testimony a while ago that he denied them living there. Is that correct?
That is correct. He stated that they do visit.
Okay. Did he say how often they visited?
He did not state how often.
How did he state how long he had known them?
He said about 4 to 5 months.
Okay. Outside of denying that they lived there, did he state that they ever stayed there just overnight?
No, he did not.
Okay. And did he state that they wouldn't be visiting anymore?
He did state at the end of our conversation that they were trespassed from that apartment complex, and he was just made aware of that.
Okay. Did he state why they were trespassed from it, or they just were trespassed?
He just stated that they were trespassed.
Okay. And that was a letter he received from his landlords?
Yes, sir. That is what he stated to me.
Okay. Now that she referred to him as Uncle Jermaine, is he related in any sort of way to them?
He stated he had no relation to them.
Okay. Now, were you able to meet with mother face to face?
Yes, sir, I was.
And where did you meet her?
I met her at a different apartment complex, at a different home, who she referred to this person as a friend, if I recall correctly.
Do you remember how you got that address or how you found out where mom was?
I was contacted by my supervisor and given that address.
Okay. And where was mom when you got there?
Mom was sitting outside the, it's like a duplex.
Okay. Was she with the owner of the home also?
The owner was outside as well, yes.
Okay. Was this a place that mom was living or just visiting?
She stated just visiting.
Okay. During your conversation with mom, did she give you an address of where she was living?
She did not.
Did you ask her where she was living?
I do not believe I did ask her.
Okay.
I did not, sorry.
Okay. Did you ask if mom knew where her daughter was?
I did ask mom, yes.
Did she know where she was?
She just kept stating that she was with Maria and when Maria was going to bring her to this address.
Okay. So you met with mom after Maria had spoken to her on the phone?
Correct, yes.
So mom was aware that at that time that the department was involved and that the child was with the department?
Yes.
Okay. Did mom at any time ever volunteer to want to go to the department and see her child, or just when y'all were bringing her to her?
Pretty much every question was, where's Maria? When's Maria coming? Maria's supposed to bring my daughter, was what she kept repeating.
Okay. Did mom's behavior or speech seem odd to you at any time?
Mom was very irritated. She was irate. She was glitchy, and she was just all over the place. I attempted to do an interview with her, and everything was pretty much, where's my daughter? Maria said she's bringing her to me, and so I wasn't getting anywhere with mom.
Okay. And so would you say that it was kind of an unproductive conversation with mom?
I would, yes, sir.
Okay. Did it seem hard for mom to stay on point of the conversation?
It did, yes.
Okay. And you stated she kept asking, when are they bringing Michaela? Is that, did she seem kind of hyper-focused on that one thing?
I would say that she did, yes.
Okay. How did your conversation with mom end at that time?
I had asked her if where she was going to live at. She stated at a shelter, but she didn't know. She would figure that out when Maria brought her daughter to her.
Okay. So from that statement, did it seem to you that mom didn't have a permanent address if she was looking for a shelter?
From that statement, yes, because she didn't even know what shelter.
Okay. She named off a couple of shelters that she may be going to?
She didn't name any off. She just said she didn't know. She would figure that out once Maria brought her daughter back.
Okay. Did mom state when the last time she had seen her daughter?
I believe she said it was earlier in the day.
Okay. How long had she been at that apartment? Do you know?
She couldn't really give me a time frame, and then she asked Monica, and Monica said it was around 5:30 when she showed up.
Okay. And Monica is the person that lived at the apartment you were at?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ask if she was staying or had stayed at that apartment?
I did not get a chance to really speak with Monica.
Okay. Did you ask Mom if she had used any drugs or alcohol that day?
I did ask, yes.
And what was Mom's answer?
She stated that she had not, and that she's never done any type of drugs.
Now you asked for a police call out, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And tell us what the reasoning for that was.
The reason was just for law enforcement to do a welfare check on the mom. Was pretty much the reason for that.
And was that just due to the conversation you were having, the way Mom was acting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were officers able to get out there?
They did, and they were able to speak with Mom for about 3 to 5 minutes. Then they got another call that took priority over that call. The officer that stated during their 3 to 5 minute conversation with Mom that she was acting irate, glitchy. She was also all over the place with them, and that to them it appeared that she was on something, they just weren't sure what.
But it's not a situation where any sort of emergency attention was needed?
No.
Okay. And did that kind of conclude your involvement with this?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Michelson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you agree with me that an intellectual disability or a speech disability is not misconduct?
Now, what was that question again? I'm sorry, sir.
Would you agree with me that an intellectual disability or a speech disability is not misconduct?
I was not aware of any type of disability that the mother had.
Objection non-responsive.
All right, sustained. Just listen carefully to his question, Mr. Valdez.
Would you agree with me that an intellectual disability or a speech disability is not misconduct?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. And would you agree with me that someone with an intellectual disability can look altered as if they're taking drugs?
I would say it depends on what the disability is.
Okay. But your previous testimony was you didn't inquire whether she had a disability or she didn't disclose that.
Correct.
Okay. And is it true that if a HUD apartment dweller were to admit another party staying there that they could be evicted?
I'm not sure about that. I cannot answer that.
Okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Archer?
Mr. Valdez, did you ask if Miss Lewis was on any medications?
I did not. I didn't get a chance to get very far with her.
Did she seem more like she was acting erratically because of having the child removed, or did she seem like she was on something to you?
She was just real glitchy. It appeared that she was on something, but I'm no expert on that, so I do not know.
Are you aware of any follow-up after you called? You said you called for a welfare check. Were you there when they came to do the welfare check?
No, they had me wait away from the scene. They did call me back afterwards. They were able to meet with her for 3 to 5 minutes, and then they got a call that took priority that they had to go on. The officer that I spoke to said that during those 3 to 5 minutes, that she was all over the place, irate. To him, it appeared that she was on something. They just weren't unsure what, and they were not able to talk to her long enough to figure out what, if anything.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Zavala.
Mr. Valdez, at any point in your conversation with Mom, did you ask her to drug screen?
I did not.
Do you know if she was ever asked to drug screen?
I am not aware if she was or not.
Okay. I pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Trout.
Mr. Valdez, during your brief conversation with mom, did mom ever ask to be taken to where her child was?
No, she did not. She just kept repeating, "When's Maria coming?" Maria told me that she was going to bring my child to me.
Okay. Did she, outside of that, did she ever ask how the child was?
I do not recall.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Valdez?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Archer shook her head. No.
No, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
All right. All right, then, any objection to this witness being released?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Valdez, thank you very much for your appearance today. At this time, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, Mr. Trouts, you can call your next witness.
I'd recall Maria Cedillo real quick, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Sedale, you're still under oath.
Maria, during your phone conversation with mom, did you tell mom you would be bringing Michaela back to her?
I informed her that if everything panned out, then I would bring her child back to her.
Okay, but that was contingent on things going okay.
Correct.
And since we're here, I'm assuming after the conversation with the mom, things did not seem appropriate.
Correct.
Okay. And so due to the state the child was found in and mom's erratic behavior at the time, was it determined that a removal should happen?
Yes.
And was that for the protection of the child?
Yes.
And do you believe that that removal was in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
And is that due to the child being found begging for money and food at the gas station?
Yes.
And had been seen at that same area, or excuse me, laundromat. I misspoke there. Being found at the laundromat?
Yes.
And reports of her being seen there multiple days?
Yes.
In the same clothes?
Yes.
And you do believe that the removal was appropriate and in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Markelson, any further questions?
Just for clarity, when in your previous testimony you said about returning her if everything turned out okay. When you say okay, what are you referring to?
In reference that mother was financially stable, that she was able to provide for Michaela's needs, and that she was aware of where her child was, that she wasn't there on multiple occasions, that she wasn't in the same clothes for 3 days, things of that nature. What we got our call in for.
Okay, pass the witness.
Okay, and Ms. Archer?
No questions.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
You talked about the state of the child. Can you describe what the child's state was when you talked with her?
When I spoke with her, she had an odor coming off of her. She had a very dingy white shirt on. She was wearing some pink pajama pants with hearts on them. She appeared to be unclean.
Was she upset?
Yes.
Did she tell you when the last time she had eaten was?
Yes.
What did she say?
She told me that she had gotten some chips and a Coke from someone at the gas station.
Did she say anything about previous to that?
Previous to that, she said that she had ate dinner the night before.
What time was it when you were talking to her?
I was talking to her around 5:15-ish when we did the interview.
PM?
Yes.
And the pink pajama pants, is that what she had been described to be wearing for the past 3 days?
Yes.
Did she say where she had eaten dinner the night before?
Uncle Tremaine's house.
And did you and she have any discussions about school?
Yes.
What did she say about school?
She told me that she originally attends Travis Middle School, that she had gotten into a physical altercation with another student and a teacher there at the school. So then she was put at North Heights Alternative School because of that incident. She told me that the reason why she hasn't been to school is because her mother doesn't have a vehicle and she'd had to rely on other people to take her to and from school.
Is she the one that told you that she had only been there 4 days the last month?
No, that was law enforcement.
And am I correct? Is Michaela 14?
Correct.
What grade is she enrolled in, if you know?
8th grade.
Was Michaela able to identify any family members who could be of assistance?
Yes.
Who did she identify?
She identified her aunt. She called her Aunt Red. And her first name is Natasha.
So that's not Latasha who's here?
Correct. That's Natasha with an N.
Able to talk with any family members to
Yes.
determine if there was a support system there?
Yes.
Who did you talk to?
I spoke with Miss Natasha.
Was Natasha available for Michaela to potentially live with?
No.
Why is that?
She said that she would be safe with her, but she won't be able to stay with her. She didn't give me a specific reason.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Sadia, did you speak with any other family members?
No, the other families either didn't answer their phone or Miss Natasha told me that she would try and get a hold of Lakeisha's power of attorney. And when she got a hold of the power of attorney, she'd give the power of attorney my contact information. She wouldn't give me the power of attorney's contact information herself.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trout?
Yes, ma'am. Maria, you said that she wouldn't give you Miss Phillips contact information. Did Miss Phillips contact you?
Yes.
Was that after the removal?
Yes.
Okay. When did you first talk to Miss Phillips?
I talked to her, I believe, Friday. I believe on Friday I finally spoke with her after transporting the child.
Okay. And that was that the next day or 2 days after the removal?
It was the day so we removed on Wednesday evening, so that was that Friday after.
Okay. And did you discuss whether she would be able to take the child in at that time, or where did that conversation go?
We first needed to ensure that she was the actual power of attorney. And then after I did speak with her, she did say yes, that she's willing to take Michaela into her home with a court order.
Okay. Did you not want to do it without a court order? Okay. And you said that was just a couple of days after the removal?
Yes.
Were you able to set up any type of family team meeting before the removal?
No, it was exigent.
Okay. And due to not having any family at the time to take, there was no PCSP or placement that you could do?
Correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Michelson, any further questions?
Just a brief one. Now having information that Miss Phillips would take mother and daughter into her home with a court order, are there other services that could be provided to the family rather than a full formal petition?
Can you reframe that question?
In other words, now that you have this information, would she be eligible for a motion to participate?
I'm not sure.
Would she be eligible for family-based safety services?
I would have to staff that with my upper management.
Okay, Pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Archer?
No questions.
Because of the exigent circumstances at the time of removal, look, I'm just curious. I mean, was there any conversation with the mother about FBSS or Texas Family First or anything like that?
We weren't able to get that far.
Okay. All right. I assumed that was the answer, but I wanted to be sure. All right. Okay. Anybody have any further questions from the studio?
Just a quick one.
Sure.
When you spoke with Miss Phillips, was she saying that she could be placement for Michaela or Michaela and Lakeisha at the same time?
Just Michaela.
Okay.
All right. Anything further for Ms. Sadia?
One thing, Your Honor. Ms. Sadia, are you asking the court today to grant the department temporary managing conservatorship of the child?
Yes.
And for the mother to work some services or get any help that she needs, if there are mental health services that she needs?
Correct.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right. Last chance at Ms. Sadia. All right. Going.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then. Is she free to leave at this time? Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Sadia, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. You are free to go on about your day's activities.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, who's next, Mr. Trout? I'm trying to decide if we need a really short break or what, where we are.
I was on call, Ms. Latasha Phillips, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, let's take this witness and then we may try to take just a real short
And Ms.
break.
Phillips, are you the durable power of attorney for Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
And are you related to Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
And how are you related?
That's my first cousin.
Okay. And how long have you had durable power of attorney?
For the last 4 years now.
Okay. And what was the reasoning for you obtaining that power of attorney?
My aunt, which is her mom, she passed away and she has mental health issues, disability, and so I took over.
Okay. Do you have personal knowledge of what the disabilities are?
Yes, bipolar and schizo.
Okay. And do you know, is she seeing anybody for that?
She's supposed to be on her meds, but she hasn't been taking them.
Okay. Do you know how long she's been off of those?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Okay. And you're willing to be a placement for Michaela, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you and I discussed earlier, at this point, there'd have to be a home study done.
Yes.
Okay. And currently in the house right now, it's you and your fiance?
Correct.
Okay. And you are, if it comes to that point, you are willing to go through the home study?
Yes.
Okay. And I know he's not there, but to your knowledge, would your fiance be willing to go through that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, to take Michaela into your home, do you prefer to have a court order for that?
Well, Maria asked me. She really didn't explain it to me that much, so I'm unsure of that.
Okay.
I don't know as far as
do you have a worry if without legal documents, mother could come take the child from the home?
No.
Okay. Do you understand that could happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you understand with a court order, you would have the right to keep the child in the home if the child?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Does that make you feel more comfortable if it was done that way?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Michelson?
I think based on Mr. Trout's questions, I don't have many. I think I just have one for Ms. Phillips.
Sure.
Ms. Phillips, has your cousin ever resided in an alternative living situation like a group home or any residential facility like that?
No, just the pavilion.
Just the pavilion.
Yes.
And so would I be correct in assuming that prior to her mother's death that she resided with her mother?
Yes. Well, she lived in her own house up until about 6 months ago.
Okay. And do you know what happened to cause her to lose her home?
Yes. Her brother, which he was disabled at the time. He was blind. And he was there. She had to go run to the store somewhere, and she left him sitting there because he stopped by to visit. And they knocked on the door to do an inspection, I believe, and he answered the door. And considering the fact that he wasn't on her lease, that calls for eviction.
Okay. I thank you. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Archer.
Ms. Phillips, do you know where Miss Lewis goes to get her meds when she does take them?
Normally, well, I know she can't afford them. Normally the pavilion, whenever she goes in, they'll get her back on her meds, get her straight, and then after that, it's nothing.
Do you know if she's
So
ever
it's
gone
not
to Texas
sorry.
Panhandle Center?
That I'm not for sure of.
Has Michaela ever lived with you in the past?
Yes. Well, prior to maybe a month ago, she came down here and we decided that she was going to stay here to get her away from Amarillo and out of all of the stuff that she had going on there. So we brought her here, got her enrolled in school and everything. And for some reason, Lakeisha wanted to be back in Amarillo. So I took them back to Amarillo. I didn't ask any questions or anything.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Balla?
Ms. Phillips, where do you live?
I live in Groom.
Do you and Michaela have a good relationship?
Yes, we have an awesome relationship.
Would it surprise you to know that she specifically said she does not want to live with any family members?
Yeah, we heard that a bunch, and come to find out she was doing that so she thought that she would be able to be placed with her friends. And when the police told her that that's not how that works, then she was kind of like, oh, okay.
Michaela and Lakeisha living when they left your house?
I'm sorry. I didn't.
Where were Michaela and Lakeisha living when they left your house?
With Tremaine.
Do you know Tremaine?
I don't have any knowledge of him. I just heard about him throughout the time being. I've never seen him.
Ms. Phillips, primarily your role, do you just handle sort of her money and business affairs?
Yes, all of her business affairs, yes.
And so you're not really actively engaged in her day-to-day life, so to speak.
Well, yes, I'm engaged, just what she let me in on.
Okay, but I mean, do you have to take her to doctor's appointments? Do you also have the ability to make medical decisions for the mother, or is it just a durable power of attorney?
Both. Yes, I have the decision to make, yes.
So are you actively engaged in any medical appointments for her, or taking her to get any drugs she might need for her bipolar condition or her?
Yes. But she hasn't had any doctor's appointments since she left the pavilion.
And how long has that been?
It was last year sometime, maybe right before they were evicted. So maybe like 6 months.
Well, would normally you make those appointments on her behalf, or would she make them?
She'll make them.
All right, she's capable of doing that?
Yes.
Yet you're the individual that has the right to make those decisions.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to find out how much of a role you have in mom's day-to-day life.
Like I said, I have POA, yes, but I didn't know how far my role is. Just like whenever they wanted to go back to Amarillo, I can tell them no, that you can't go back. I just take her if that's what she says. So it's just whatever she allows me to do.
Okay. When the last place you said that she had to live, that she had been, said about 6 months ago. Did you have to sign the lease on that property?
No, she's been in that property years. She was there for a long time. I know 10 years so all of that happened before the diagnose.
Or before you took power of attorney?
Yes.
Right. All right. Do you think you can effectively manage Michaela and her impulses and behavior and all that?
Yes.
Does she listen to you?
Yeah, because her mom normally, oh, do you want me to call your aunt? So yeah, she'll listen to me.
Okay. Would you be willing to supervise access and visitation between mom and the child?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mr. Trout, any further questions? Ms. Phillips?
I've got no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Michelson?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Archer?
Ms. Phillips, if I set up an evaluation for Miss Lewis, would you be willing to help me get her there to a doctor?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, and Ms. Zabala?
No questions at this time.
Ms. Phillips, let me just ask you a couple things. Do you have any criminal history, or does your fiance?
No, ma'am. Well, he does. It was for possession, but it's been well over 10 years ago.
Was he on probation for that, or?
Not probation, parole.
So he did some time?
Yes.
Is he off of parole now?
No, he's not. I believe he has 2 more years left, but he reports yearly though.
And has he had any problems with his parole?
No, that's why they put him to yearly. Just report once a year.
Once a year. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do either of you have, well, let me ask you, he obviously does, but do you have any history with illegal drugs or substance abuse?
No.
And does he currently engage in any kind of alcohol or drug use?
No, he's a truck driver, so they drug test him actually, he just went last week. But yeah, he gets drug tested, everything. So no, he doesn't.
Does he do long haul driving, or is he back at home regularly?
He's over the road, yes.
So is it fair to say he's gone a lot?
Yes.
Would he ever have any direct supervision over Michaela?
No.
So, there wouldn't be a time where you would leave him kind of in charge of her, or?
No.
And do you work, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Where do you work?
Accent Care.
And what do you do for them?
It's a home health.
All right. What kind of hours do you have?
It's just really my schedule, whatever I pick up and choose to do.
So would you typically be home at times where Michaela is out of school?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
All right. Do you feel like financially you can take on the addition of a teenager?
Yes, ma'am.
Does your fiance help contribute to your monthly bills and expenses and everything?
Yes. Well, he pays them all. My check is just my check. But yes.
All right. You feel like he's fully in support of this situation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Ms. Phillips, if the child were placed with you, you understand that mom can't just come and go, or you can't just take the child to her, that there'll be rules about that and supervision, and there's rules.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. That's understood with the both of us. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Have you and Ms. Lewis discussed this about the child living in your home?
Yes, because like I said once before, that she was down here with me. So we've discussed this.
But you talked about just Michaela being there.
Yes, yes,
Okay. All right, you understand she can't live in the home
yes,
with
ma'am.
Michaela.
Yes, correct.
Just depending on what happens today. I'm
Right.
just trying to make sure everybody understands what the rules are about all this before you commit to doing something, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody have any other questions for Ms. Lewis? Ms. Phillips. I'm so sorry, Ms. Phillips.
No more questions.
I do.
Go ahead.
Ms. Phillips, is there any reason you can think of why Michaela would have specifically said she did not want you involved?
Yes, because she's been a teenager. She just wants to go live with her friends, and if she feels that there's rules, she don't want to be involved with anybody that's telling her what to do, or if she has chores, she don't want to do any of that.
Okay, so you understand that if she's placed with you, it's actually against her will, against what she's saying she wants. Do you understand
Correct.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll pass witness.
Okay. Anybody have any more questions for Ms. Phillips?
One real quick question, Your Honor. Ms. Phillips, I know we've kind of discussed it, but you understand also if she was to be placed with you, mom can't come and take her.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and you're willing to protect her from that?
Yes.
I know you said earlier that when she lived with you before, Ms. Lewis just wanted to go back to Amarillo, so she took Michaela and then went back to Amarillo. You understand you can't let her do that?
Correct. Yes.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right. Anybody got any further questions?
No further questions.
Just as a side question, and I'm not sure, maybe if Ms. Herrera would be the one that would know this, but have they run any background checks on Ms. Phillips?
I'm not sure. I'm covering this case for Cayenne, so I'm not sure if she's run the checks, but I can check the case file real quickly.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Ms. Herrera.
And Judge, Ms. Jordan may know whether some of the background checks were run during the investigation.
All right, you intend to call her as a witness?
I can call her and just ask her that, yes, ma'am. And were you the supervisor on this case?
I was.
You heard the judge's question just then. Were the background checks run on Ms. Phillips?
I believe so. I am checking that right now.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, let's just take a short break while they're all looking that up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are we up for your next witness?
Yes, ma'am. We're waiting on Ms. Jordan to see if she had background check.
Yeah, that's right.
Phillips.
And Daniel, Marissa sent over the background stuff to you, but we need to know Latasha's husband's name to be able to add him in and get a background check run on him.
And Judge, I believe Ms. Jordan, they have that information already also.
All right, then, anybody have any other questions for Ms. Jordan?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. I didn't know, does the court, did you just want to know if they already had the background information?
Yeah, I just want to know if they had run it or if they had what information they were going to need.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that has been run. They did have the fiance's name also. And from what Ms. Phillips said to what we're looking at as far as criminal history stuff, that's matched up with what we're looking at. I think just for the court's information, I believe she said he had a couple more years on the parole, and looks like it would be around 25 when that would be up.
Okay. All right. Okay. And so nobody's got any more questions for Ms. Jordan, then Mr. Trax, you can call your next witness, I guess.
No more witnesses, Your Honor.
Department rest.
Department with rest, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Michelson.
No witnesses in view of Mr. Trout calling Miss Phillips, and we rest.
Okay. Ms. Archer.
I'm here. Since they called Miss Phillips, I will rest. I have no witnesses.
Okay. Ms. Zavala.
I have no witnesses. I'll rest.
All right. And Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
Yes, Your Honor. Michaela is almost 15, and she is old enough to advise me as to how to proceed and was very clear in her wishes. She wants to go back home to mom. She expressed some real concern about being placed with any other family members. However, I will acknowledge that I believe her position on that might change if she realized that gets her closer to mom and she can have visits with mom. So I think there is some room to move on her position with that. That being said, I do believe, while we get everything situated in terms of mom and her mental health needs, that it would be in Michaela's best interest to remain in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department.
Thank you, Ms. Savon. All right, then, at this time, I do find the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of the child. I find that there would be a continuing and ongoing danger to the child to be returned home to the mother at this time. I'm very concerned about mom's stability right now, and hope that we can work with her and help get some of these issues resolved. I'm going to go ahead and place the child with Miss Phillips, even without the home study. I still want the home study done because it gives us more information. But quite frankly, I've got some real concerns about child being in placement, not because of the placement. I have some concerns about whether or not we might have a runaway on our hands. And I think she would do better with family. So I think as soon as we could get her relocated and placed with Miss Phillips, the better. For now, I really would like, obviously, Ms. Lewis's visits to be supervised. I think some of those need to be supervised by St. Francis for a while, but I also think we could move fairly quickly into Ms. Phillips, maybe supervising some of those or maybe some additional time. But I just want to make sure everybody goes over all those rules with Ms. Phillips and with Ms. Lewis to make sure that they know what to expect from that. Obviously, I'm going to expect, parents to work services. We'll talk more about those at the next hearing. Between now and then, Ms. Lewis, they'll sit down with you and kind of talk with you about what all they're going to want you to do. Ms. Lewis, I may express to you some of the same things I expressed to Michaela, which is I have, real concerns when a child, particularly a female child her age, is wandering about, approaching strangers, asking for money or for food. I think that it can present the child in a very dangerous situation. And so I just have real concern about the level of supervision that she was getting under your care. And so, everybody can fall on hard times. I'm sorry that you've lost your housing. I don't know why just having your brother present on a visit would have resulted in an eviction. That's a bit of a mystery to me, but anyway, I guess that's water under the bridge. But what we're really going to be looking here to establish is stable housing for you, transportation, and make sure that financially you're squared away enough, to take care of the child and the child's needs.
Your Honor, I have a question because Mike Johnson here at Coming Home Project Homes, for the people that is homeless, I reached out to him right here at Hillside Christian Church, where we go to church at here on Amarillo, Texas, in the shopping center across the street from Tri's Market. I am supposed to be having a meeting with him. He's going to come doing evaluations, and he's going to put us in an apartment.
Okay.
So he helps out the homeless.
And I'm very happy to hear that. I want to see you get well established and get some stability, and then we'll start looking at how do we get Michaela back home. Okay. But I'm not going to make her part of that transition and that experiment. Okay. So I want
her. How come is that, Your Honor?
Well, because she's a child and she's 14, and my job is to make sure that she's in a safe place.
But I'm a child care provider just as well.
I understand.
Just because I had issues along the way and along the path doesn't mean that I'm a bad parent.
nobody has used those words. Nobody has said that. I think you just lack certain stability right now. And I think take advantage of the fact that we can place the child with Miss Phillips. You can have regular contact and access to the child, and you can focus on trying to get yourself in a really good, stable situation so that when Michaela comes home, all of that's in place. Okay. Nobody's using those words. It just depends on how things go. I can't tell you. So, anyway, you've got your attorney and your guardian ad litem, Ms. Archer, to, stay in touch with these people. It's very important that they communicate with you regularly. Ms. Zavala is here to look after Michaela's best interest. She will do her job. And I appreciate Ms. Phillips opening her home and taking on this responsibility. So we will be back on June 27th for our status hearing, and we'll see how things are going and talk about the services more then. But until then, the department will stay temporary managing, and I would find that it would be a danger to send the child home at this time. This, like a lot of cases, Ms. Lewis, this could be relatively short depending on how everything goes, So we don't like keeping kids in care any longer than we have to. And, just work with these folks. They're going to work with you. And, we can make this all have a good outcome.
But Your Honor, I do have to say that about the Maria Sedelio, she did call me and she promised me that she was going to bring Michaela at 2801, where Monica Henderson was, that she knew Monica Henderson. And she promised me that she says she don't want my kid and she does going to do everything in her power to bring back my kid. Where she lied at and sit up there and say that she spoke it to me. Because I have a figure of speech of speaking doesn't mean that you can judge me or the way I'm sitting or the way I'm talking. It's called a disability that I was diagnosed with from Northwest Texas Hospital. It's a pill called disilecalmine and tramadol. I don't know how to say that long word. It's a green bottle that I go get refilled at the hospital.
Okay. Well,
that we go pick up at Grand Pharmacy.
Okay. And so we're going to work with you on all that stuff and make sure that everything's, we want all the wheels turning smoothly, and then we'll get Michaela home. So it's just, I just think that you need a chance to get your feet solidly on the ground, and Ms. Phillips is willing to help with that. And so, let's take advantage of that and get you back on track, and then we'll work our way through this. I am going to send you to do a drug screen. And I'm gonna have you do that by, say, 4:00 tomorrow. It's gonna be a hair and a UA, and that they're gonna make sure you know where to go. We ask for drug screens on parents in our cases all the time. Get a baseline. We want to see, is that a problem? Is it not a problem? So it's just one more thing we can rule out if we don't have any issues with that. So. Don't feel like anybody's picking on you, because that's pretty standard operating procedure for these cases. So,
and they have done it before, so they shipped it off to I don't know what day it was. They did take a chunk of my hair off already.
For this case?
Yeah, they did it before. Yes, it's in the shopping center by Sam's.
Well, yeah, that's out where Care Express is. But
the lady came and got me.
When was
a lady?
That?
They got it on their record. I don't know. I don't have a copy. I lost all my copy papers.
Well, are you talking about within the last 2 weeks?
No.
Okay. Well,
but they did take a hair follicle test.
Okay. Well,
they put it inside of a bag.
They can pull that out, but I'm gonna ask you to go by 4 tomorrow. It's a court order that you go before 4:00 tomorrow, because I need to get a baseline in this case, and so. Okay. Ms. Herrera, I guess it'll be you kind of reaching out to Ms. Lewis and make sure that that she knows where she needs to be and all that.
Yes,
okay, then.
Judge, I have a quick question for you. As far as moving the child, how soon, like what kind of timeline are we looking at? I know you said soon. I just make sure that Ms. Phillips is ready for it, but how quick do you want us to do that? Well,
I think let's verify how quickly Ms. Phillips is ready, and then I kind of want to move it along pretty quickly. Oh. Michaela's got her mind very much set in one direction right now, and I just have some real concerns about how she may act on that.
Okay.
I think Ms. Zavala is gonna speak with her and, you know, I think we encourage the fact that she's gonna get to have, you know, very regular contact with her mother this way.
Okay.
Way more than what she would be otherwise.
Okay.
So I personally think she'll be happy about that.
And
So-
I'm assuming mom may need a ride to the drug screen. We would have to be able to get into contact with her to set up a transportation for her if we could. I don't know if,
Yeah.
Ms. Liz, are you gonna need a ride to get out to drug screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Herrera, I guess you'll need
I
to
can
work
take her
that
in the
with
morning. Yeah, I'll take her in the morning.
Okay,
you
so,
know where to get her from?
I was gonna get her contact information from Kayla, the supervisor.
Okay.
okay, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the YouTube feed.
Yes, ma'am.
We basically concluded the hearing, but I'm gonna allow you all to just to talk and exchange that information just to be sure that everybody knows who's calling who and what they're gonna be doing, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to get an address, in order to get Lakeisha paperwork.
Okay, so let me go ahead and stop the YouTube feed, and so that will conclude our adversary hearing, and I'll see everybody back June 27th.